One of the biggest lessons that I've had to learn, one of the hardest things that I've had to overcome as part of my healing journey, is my habit of excusing unconscious behaviour. So, what do I mean by that? I have a habit of looking at the bigger picture from what people say, what people do, how it impacts me, where it's coming from. And when someone behaves to me poorly or tries to overstep my boundaries or exhibits narcissistic behaviour, I have a tendency to forgive them and to excuse them because I know that it's subconscious. A lot of what we do comes from our own trauma and our own unhealed pasts. And a lot of the times we react to people from that place that's unhealed. And we can treat people in a way that is not okay and expect things from them that is not acceptable. But we do it without really considering how that impacts the other person, how that really might overstep their boundaries, and how that makes other people feel. And in the past, I've always let that go. I've always gone, well, they don't mean it like that. They don't. If they knew that that's how it made me feel, they would be mortified. And I'm not going to bring it up because I don't want to hurt them. I'm just going to forget about it and move past it because I don't want to hurt them. I don't want to bring up the fact that actually they do have narcissistic behaviour, or they do have a habit of overstepping boundaries, or I might find them particularly draining on my energy. And I haven't in the past done anything about it. I've allowed it to happen. I've allowed it to continue because I care about that person and I know that it's subconscious. But the more that you heal, the more that you step into a greater sense of yourself, a greater sense of what's important to you and how you want to live your life. That reoccurring behaviour becomes less and less acceptable. That overstepping your boundaries, that I need someone to talk to, so I'm going to talk to you regardless of whether or not you have the capacity to deal with it now because that's what I need from you. Those attitudes become harder and harder to deal with. And the more that you heal and the more that you grow, the more that you realise just how much of your potential is being limited by these people in your life. And you get to the point of where I am now, where many of the people in my life have been in my life for a long time, and I have always excused their behaviour. I've always excused their attitude. I've fallen into that role of caretaker, fallen into that role of being the grounded, stable person within the family, within their lives. And their constant drains on my energy, which is nothing different from how they've always treated me, is now suffocating. It's now getting to the point where I can no longer excuse the complete disregard of my own boundaries just because I always have done. And when you get to that point, you then get really stuck on what it is you do. Because to move forward and to achieve the life that you want to achieve, you have to distance yourself from the people that have always been there. Distance yourself from the people that you always felt were going to be part of your life. But you can't continue to ignore the behaviour just because it's subconscious. We all have to have that responsibility within ourselves to recognise our own behaviour, to recognise our own toxic behaviour. I have my own traits that are toxic, my own traits that aren't good, my own shadow self. And part of spirituality is learning to embrace that and learning to overcome that and learning how to not transfer that to other people and how to come into union with yourself. And you can't fully do that if you have people who are constantly draining on your life and constantly draining and expecting you to stay in that same small space. Because the brighter that you shine, the more people want that energy for themselves. They want to be in your energy because it makes them feel good and it makes them feel better about themselves. And they will subconsciously put you down and subconsciously limit you and say that it's from a place of love, say that it, and often it is, but they don't, because they don't realise where it's coming from and that they're actually hindering you. It becomes very, very difficult to actually start to distance yourself. And Spirit and the universe can help us with that. They can help us come out of it and go into new circumstances, but we also have to let it go. We also have to understand that there comes a time in our lives where we have to put ourselves first, and we have to nurture our own energy for ourselves and nurture every part of ourselves and shine as bright as we want to shine. And the people that want to take advantage of that, the people that subconsciously take advantage of that, will be hurt by your withdrawal. And they may call you selfish. They may say that you are narcissistic, when in fact you are just reinforcing the boundaries that always should have been in place. And the people who are meant to stay in your life will respect your boundaries. They will respect your energy and what you need. And if you need to take a few days off social media and you need to not talk to people for a few days to recharge, then we need to embrace the fact that that is okay. And that self-care is not just about spa days and taking an afternoon off to read a good book. It's also about reinforcing who we are, who we want to be, and actually saying no thank you. I know that you need me for this, but I don't have it in me to be for you during this. To accept that it is not your responsibility to fix everyone else. And when you've been put into that energy of being the fixer, usually from a child, it's very, very hard to come out of that. And I am still learning how to come out of that. But when we truly embrace who we are, that's when all the doors open up for us. That's when we can really come to that sense of peace. Though it is hard. And I think it's always going to be hard. But you cannot take responsibility for someone else's healing. And if they are not in a place where they are willing to recognise those traits within themselves, then there is nothing you can do about that. And you do need to look after yourself for you to be able to reach your own potential. So I hope that helps, and I'll speak to you guys soon. Bye.